All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody. Got the first 50 in. They were just waiting. I love it. Welcome to everybody coming on in today. If you're here for Fear Factor to learn more about benefits analysis, then you are in the right place. OACB, the Department of DD, the Nisonger Center, and lots of other amazing people are hosting this today. So give us a minute to let everybody in. Those of you who registered on OACB's Member Connect will be able to claim CPDUs starting most likely on Wednesday. I know I sent a lot of you the main part of the PowerPoint just an hour ago. I think, and so we will also make sure it's online and it'll be posted on the Employment First. Frida just sent us all a message that she Yes, Frida, you are in the right place. That's all you need to know. Everybody just needs to know you're in the right place, Frida. So yes, absolutely. Life is good. All right. Oh, good. We're already over 200. Very nice. People are prompt today. You can tell they're better than I am, Anne, for a Monday.
People want to know.
I
Benefits
tell you, they're
analysis
like,
is the
yes,
draw.
I love it. Yeah, Anne and I were not as quick getting on to get ready for this today, but hey, we're glad you guys are here on time. So, all right. One more time, I will be putting the PowerPoint once it gets about 15 minutes in. I'll put it in the chat box. Also, if you need CPDUs, you will receive an email from OACB's Member Connect saying they are ready to be completed. And that will probably come to you on Wednesday. So if you did not register in Member Connect, you are welcome to stay, but you won't get any continuing ed units. So, but please stay. All right. Okay, well, we are at 2:33. For those of you who are wondering how many people are on this, I always think it's interesting. I'm Lisa Combs from the Ohio Association of County Boards. I haven't changed my name. It says I'm Session Tech, which is quite laughable if anybody knows me well, right? But I have Ann Tapia here today, and I think we're going to go ahead and get started with this session on benefits analysis. So welcome to Fear Factor. Ann, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, my name is Jeanne Tapia. I'm with the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. I'm in the Community Life Engagement team, and I support Southwest Ohio. And Lisa, I just got to add, your biggest fear is that tech is going to go down and you're responsible to fix it, right? So we are here today to talk about the fears associated with benefits analysis. Our time today, we'll kick off with just some introductions and context of how we got here, and then dive into an overview of what benefits analysis is, and then wrap up with some question and answers. That's always a really valuable piece of these sessions. And next steps to figure out, what do you want to hear from us in terms of your myth busting for other related ways to help get people to work. So we always like to kick off with polls and find out. There's 240, just as I was about to say it, 240 people here today. So we want to know who you are. So Lisa's going to launch a poll here in just a moment. And if you would share your role, and the options included are the Service Support Administrator, SSA, another county board staff role member, family member, self-advocate, provider, opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities, or the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. And if you don't see yourself fitting in any of those options, you're always also welcome to just drop in the chat.
All right, just give me 1 minute. Oh, here we go. I think this is right. Yes.
There it is.
There you go. And for anybody who was trying to get in the chat box earlier, I just fixed it so that you can chat to each other, to the hosts and panelists, to anyone you want to. Sorry about that.
Look at those session tech skills, bringing it today.
I also happened to open up the Q&A, which I forgot to tell you all. obviously these fear factor sessions always have so much great information, and you all ask so many great questions that I do want to be real clear that if you have a specific question to the content that the speakers are talking about, please put your question in Q&A. And then prior to putting your question, make sure that you don't want to just upvote somebody else's questions. There's a little thumbs up that you can go on so we can make sure we get to the most popular questions. And then the chat box is really just for responses, or if you just want to tell me, that I look super dynamic today in my pink glasses, or Frida was trying to tell me that she was hoping that she could get the winning lottery numbers here. So anything you want to share in the chat box is great. Q&A is for questions. All right, most people have responded, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and we'll see let's just so you all can see who's here today. We've got 78% are service and support administrators, which is great. We're glad to have you here. We also have 14% other county board staff, but not SSAs. Yay, we have some family members here today. Love that. Welcome, family members. And we have some providers here, 10 providers here. So glad to have you all here. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and close that poll, and we'll get back in. Thanks for letting us know who's here today. And Andrea, thank you for letting me know you like my glasses.
We're always so grateful for everyone in the audience. We're glad you came, because the idea of Fear Factor is to break down myths that exist, the fears that are keeping people from working, by providing facts, evaluating what we know, creating some action steps, and getting to results. So that is what our FEAR stands for. Facts, evaluate, action, and results. There are, in these sessions, we always pull together a group of folks from a wide variety of backgrounds. We have SSAs, OOD, county board and developmental disabilities, as well as OACB, who come together to provide resources to you all, no matter what your role is, so that job seekers and those who are in their employment journey in any capacity have the resources that they need to face those fears and keep moving forward. Go to the next slide. We want to prompt you to check out the Employment First website. We can drop that in the chat here in a moment, where we have a library of episodes and a packet of information where you can find some additional links and resources about topics including SSI, SSDI, Medicaid, Ticket to Work, Medicaid buy-in for workers with disabilities, and reporting requirements. So tons of good information there. And again, we appreciate you all being here today to get this good information. So in our previous episodes, we have talked through a number of fears, including benefits of today's session, the benefits that are available for those who are working. And the way we got to today's session is because you all told us this was a session that would be helpful for you to have a better understanding of the various ways to do a benefits analysis and figure out what's the right step for where you are in your employment journey and in the way you support people. We'll poll at the end of today's session too. Some of the most recent episodes include SSDI versus SSI. Just give me the basics. So really good overview, reporting requirements, and a stable account update that was done back in June. All of those can be made available in the link that was just dropped in the chat. Thank you, Lisa, to check out previous episodes. All right, poll number 2 coming at you. We have,
how much do we know? Sorry, I'm talking at knowledge check. That's what I call it. Okay.
We have the next question to find out what you're walking in with so far today. We like to get a sense of where you are as an audience. So based on what you know today, benefits analysis, before we start the session, I've never heard of benefits analysis as one option. I have heard about benefits analysis, but I don't understand.
Oops. That's a typo.
All right.
I don't understand.
I don't understand enough. Yeah. I consider myself fairly knowledgeable about benefits analyses, or I believe I know as much as the presenters, and I'm willing to help in the future, which will take you.
Absolutely. Put that if you put that in there, you want to put your name in the chat box and let me know you're the expert because I need all the help I can get. Um, as you can see, that's how we've actually developed. I mean, we really do have a really great presenter pool, and we love to meet new people that have a lot of passion in the area. So, all right, I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes. We got about 85% in. And all right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Thank you so much. Share the results back out to you. All right, so we have 3% that were proud and able and honest and said, you know what, I never even heard of it. So thanks for coming. 69% have heard about it, but probably don't understand quite enough about it. 27% feel like they're fairly knowledgeable. And then we do have the one person, Ann, who says that they might be able to help us. I don't know. I don't know if that's Kim Bernardi who just put something
I
in the
was
chat box.
I
Maybe
was
it's
gonna
Kim.
say
I
we
like
can
it.
hunt you down, Kim, if you want to join. We just need your email address.
There you go. So we've got some good, it sounds like you guys are in the right place. I'm glad a lot of you have heard of it, and we look forward to our presenters sharing so we all know a little bit more. All right.
So, as we said, it takes a whole crew of us coming together to develop these resources for you all. So, just want to shout out, you'll hear from these folks today: Christine Brown, who's with Nisonger, Jeannie, who is with OOD, Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, Tom, who is Community Life Engagement Project Manager with the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, Nate, who is an Outreach and Education Coordinator at DODD as well, and Paula, who is with Clearwater COG. Grateful for our superstars today who will share more in a moment. Outside of who you hear from today, we have a whole team of other folks who are around doing work in the background, supporting our superstars today. We like to call them our production team. So just a quick shout out to those who are, whether they're on today or not, who are helpful supports in this process. And on with the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa and Anne. So sometimes benefits, especially Social Security benefits, can be difficult for people to obtain. It often takes years for approval if someone has to go to the hearing level for applications. And because of this, there is a large amount of fear in losing what somebody has worked so hard to obtain. But the fact is that in today's world, everything is expensive. And sometimes just collecting Social Security does not provide a lot of income for someone to meet their basic living expenses. So for that reason, we're here today to confront and educate those confront those fears and educate everybody and let you know that someone can work while receiving disability benefits. So what is benefits counseling? Benefits counseling is an in-depth analysis and discussion of the impact of employment on public benefits, including Social Security disability benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, food assistance, subsidized housing, and others. So this counseling is completed by professionals who have completed a comprehensive training and certification program through either Virginia Commonwealth University or Cornell University. Benefits counseling includes collecting information about somebody's work goal and verifying what their actual benefits are that they're receiving, and then providing them with a benefit analysis report, which is a detailed report describing their public benefits and the impact that that work goal would have on those benefits. The report will highlight specific work incentives that would apply to this individual's employment goal. And then it also provides resources and follow-up support as needed. So in Ohio, we're actually very lucky because we have what's called a benefits planning task force. And this is a group of benefits counselors across the state that gets together regularly to stay up to date on the rules for state benefits programs, including those Medicaid food stamps and housing programs, and also the Social Security disability benefits programs. And also, thank you to Tom Hess. Going to give him a shout out over at DODD. We actually have a mentoring group on Loop Ohio, which is pretty active in having conversations throughout the benefits planners throughout the state. So I actually looked today and there's 163 members in that group that can communicate regularly and provide support to each other. And many of us on here today actively participate in both those benefits planning task force meetings and the Ohio Loop group. So how does someone know if they need benefits counseling? So if you receive public benefits, which could include SSDI, SSI, Medicare, Medicaid, if you have a Medicaid waiver, if you receive what's called TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, or if you have food stamps, supplemental nutrition assistance program benefits, or VA, veterans benefits, if you have public housing, or if you have a housing choice waiver, you probably need benefits counseling. You especially need benefits counseling if you're planning on going to work, but you're not sure how your benefits will be impacted by the money that you're going to make from working. And if you're working and planning to get more hours, or if you're going to get a raise, and that might change your benefits. So you're going to maybe want to get benefits counseling at that point. And then if you've used the DB 101 tool, which we're going to go into later, but feel that you need more in-depth counseling and analysis, then you'll probably want to get benefits counseling. So I'm going to throw it over to Nate here. Nate, how did you know that you needed benefits counseling?
Thanks, Paula. So, for those of you that don't know, because of my personal situation, I've had to navigate public benefits and work with the Social Security Administration for most of my life. And when I was coming up and transitioning as a young adult around 2006, there was no Medicaid buy-in, and stable accounts weren't available until 2016. But I had a family that loved and supported me, and I knew that it was hard to live well on public benefits alone. So I was motivated and ready to work early on, but I knew I needed a strategy that would help me to stay eligible for public benefits. So when I was working with OOD the first time, I asked pretty early on in my journey about the impact of public benefits and working, and I was referred to my first benefits analysis, I think, before I graduated high school. And I had the appointment and made some mistakes. I think I went alone and didn't really understand the conversation, but I knew, well, I could make a fixed amount of money and still stay eligible for benefits. And that's kind of where the conversation stopped. And so I had kind of tried working part-time, and was staying eligible for benefits for several years. And then I got sick and didn't work for a while, and kind of after I'd gotten better, worked part-time again, but I wanted more for myself because I knew I wasn't doing the things I wanted to do. So I went back to OOD, had another benefits consultation, really focusing on maybe maintaining my eligibility, but more importantly, I didn't really focus on full-time work. So I had a third consultation with my partner in crime, Margaret at Lucas DD, that focused on the impact of full-time work. And I eventually got my job at the department. And now, most recently, because of my unique work situation, I'm actually working with a former Social Security AWIC to help me navigate with the Social Security Administration, and she also updated my benefits analysis. So I think what's important here is that I had the conversation at different points in my work journey, and at each time I was having different employment goals. So it's important to have an ongoing conversation as things shift and change so that people are, having the strategy that works for them.
Excellent, Nate. Then that's a very good point, that it's not a one and done kind of thing. You didn't just have the conversation once. You went back and had it multiple times. Awesome. Thank you. So I think that I need benefits counseling. How do I access this service? And Nate covered a couple ways to access it through his personal journey, but there are several different avenues that provide funding for or access to free benefits counseling, free to the individual. And so your circumstances just might depend on what path is right for you. So some questions to think about is, how quickly and how urgently do you need this information? Some agencies have waiting lists and they might not be able to help right away, but some agencies are able to kind of jump in and help right away. And then it's important to look at, what agencies are you already connected to, and do they provide benefits counseling services? County boards of developmental disabilities, many of them, especially the larger ones, like Nate had pointed out, Lucas County, they have a benefits person on staff. I know Warren County has a benefits person on staff, or they might even contract with somebody. But Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities is another big way that folks get these benefit analysis. Or if you're working with a mental health treatment provider, they might also provide benefit analysis and counseling. And if you're not connected to any of these agencies that fund this service, you can consider the WIPA project in your area, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So Nate, maybe just recap. I know you had used multiple sources, but how did you access the benefits counseling?
So by and large, I was affiliated with OOD for most of the times that I needed the benefits consult. So I was referred to multiple community partners, each of whom had their own strengths. One was with a nonprofit early on, another was with a legal aid organization, and then, of course, Margaret was with Lucas DD, and the woman that I worked with most recently, she's a retired Social Security employee. She worked her entire career there, and she was an area work incentives consultant, and she's now pivoted to a small business where she was a DD provider. So it was in the career planning service, but I got connected with her through OOD as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. I love that you kind of hit many of these different ways to get that benefit analysis. So like we had said, some county boards of DD and mental health agencies do have someone on staff, or they might have someone that they contract with to do benefits counseling. Just as an example, I work at a COG, and my agency works with many different county boards of DD. And so those county boards of DD have the option to contract with my agency through local funding to kind of provide that service for the counties that we work with. So the best thing might be to contact your SSA, which I know a lot of you on here are SSAs. So if you're on here and you don't know if you have someone at your specific county board, then maybe find out, or see if your agency has somebody that you're contracted with. And again, if you're working with someone who gets mental health counseling, some of those agencies also have someone on staff that can provide those services. I know in our benefits task force group, we have a couple mental health agencies on there. I think Cincinnati Behavioral Health comes to mind. There might be a couple others as well. I think there's one up in Cleveland. In those bigger counties, again, they have those services available. So also a Medicaid waiver service through the home and community-based waivers. So in the home and community-based waivers, the IO level 1 and self waivers, you can access a service called career planning, benefits, education, and analysis. So per the rule, this is known as work incentives planning, and it provides information to families, guardians, advocates, service and support administrators, and educators about the impact of paid employment on a range of public assistance and benefits programs, all of the ones that we've discussed. And through the benefit analysis and the waiver, an actual maximum of 4 benefit analysis and education can be funded throughout an individual's span, through their waiver eligibility span. So there are actually currently 58 active and certified providers for this service in the state of Ohio. And from our good friends at DODD, we got these numbers for last year. There were 111 people who accessed this service through their waiver in 2023. So if you're not connected to either of those, you can access the WIPA project. So the WIPA project is made possible through the Ticket to Work Incentives Improvement Act of 1999, which allowed Social Security to fund this program. And these WIPA staff, stands for Work Incentives Planning and Assistance, provide information about work and benefits to people who receive Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, and or SSI, Supplemental Security Income, because of their disability. So WIPA programs actually serve people who are already working or who are actively about to start working. So they do prioritize those folks who are working or have a job in mind. And they help beneficiaries by providing information about the availability of work supports. So how can you contact the WIPA project? You can contact the Ticket to Work helpline for a referral to the WIPA project that serves your area. And there's the phone number, 1-866-968-7842. Also, they operate Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can also use the tool on the website, the Social Security website. The Find Help tool is actually at choosework.ssa.gov/find help. And then the Choose Work website is just choosework.ssa.gov, but they have you a list of the providers that serve the various areas. And here they are. Here are those providers. So this is the current map of the WIPA projects in the state of Ohio. So up in the northern part of the state and the western part of the state, we have Disability Rights Ohio that serves this area as the WIPA project. Their info is at the top of the screen. They're based out of Columbus, but they serve the northern part of the state, disabilityrightsohio.org. The central and southeastern part of the state is served by an agency called Southeast Inc. That actually used to be called COVA, or the Centers for Vocational Alternatives. They're now called Southeast Vocational Services through the Southeast Healthcare Inc. program. And then down in the greater Cincinnati area, you guys get the Legal Aid Society of Cincinnati. They're actually really, really great down there. They're the ones that operate or lead our Benefit Planners Task Force group that is across the state of Ohio. And next, I'm going to throw it over to Jeanne. Jeanne is with OOD. She has all of the best info about how to get benefits planning through OOD.
Thanks, Paula. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about opportunities and how to access the benefits analysis reports or work incentives planning. We kind of use those terms in exchange, both for these services. So a little bit of background just about OOD to start. So this is just like the agency mission statement to empower Ohioans with disabilities through employment, disability determinations, and independence. So, and this just shows our agency's table of organization. So at the top, there's the federal component, which is the Rehabilitation Services Administration, RSA. They are the federal agency that provides oversight. They write those federal regulations and codes for vocational programs throughout the United States. And then OOD has 4 different divisions that make up the agency. There's the Bureau of Services for the Visually Impaired, where Ohioans with low vision and blindness can receive assistance. And then the Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation is for individuals with disability. They get services and supports to help them attain and maintain employment. So this could include a variety of different disabilities, populations, including college students with disabilities through the College to Careers program. And we also have the Division of Employer and Innovation Services. So that is the part that connects individuals ready for employment, candidates for employment, and connects them with employer partners that we have throughout the state. So this part of the agency also supports businesses in hiring and retaining individuals with disabilities. And then there is also DDD, Division of Disability Determination, that's part of our agency. And this is the division that makes determinations for the Social Security Administration on those disability applications. All right, so also just a little bit about vocational rehabilitation. You can see it's state and federally funded through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA. Each state has a vocational rehabilitation program, and that follows those federal laws and rules. The goal is to help people, I think kind of mentioned before, prepare for, obtain employment, and then maintain that employment. And it's for any individuals with disabilities, including students. Okay, so this is just the process of vocational rehabilitation in general. So there's a referral. So that could be someone self-referred, they've just heard about OOD, heard about it from a friend. They might hear about it from another agency that they're connected with. So they get that referral, they apply to receive services, kind of the second step. They go through a process where the vocational counselor will make an eligibility decision. So they determine that they need the services of OOD and they're determined eligible. Then the next step is generally to write a plan for employment. So the IPE is the plan for employment. So based on the individual's goals for work, they decide kind of narrow down what they're looking for. And then they're ready to actually receive the services. So they will work with them to choose a provider, so another agency that will help them with a variety of services, including helping them get their resume ready, practice interviewing, applying for jobs, and then services on the job too when they obtain a job. So that next step is hopefully employment. So to tie it back to benefits counseling that you might receive during that process, going through the vocational rehabilitation process, there's different points at which might be identified where that need might be identified for a benefits analysis. So sometimes it's right at that application stage. So that could be a lot of times if someone's considering work for the very first time since they started receiving any type of benefits. So they're, very new to understanding and, knowing how benefits might be impacted by work. Sometimes it's when someone's seeking a job, looking for a job in a new area or new field. So maybe the pay might be a lot different than before. So that's also a point where, you might have questions like, okay, this is going to be a big change from what I was doing before. What is this going to look like? Will this have any impact on the benefits I receive? And then another point, sometimes people, they're aware. A lot of people come into this with actually a lot of knowledge already about how working and benefits interact, but they're, still a little bit unsure exactly for them how that's going to look, and they want some more guidance. There's the fear, that's why we're here, fear, the fear of losing benefits, even if they, sometimes people think any work is going to be negative for them. And that's, I can tell you, not often not the case. There's a lot of ways for people to work and be much better off. And then occasionally people are coming in even at application phase with they're already having issues, like they've maybe gotten a letter from Social Security about work they've done in the past and things that need to be reported, or just a variety of issues could already have happened and they need some guidance like how to deal with that and go forward. So, and then sometimes the kind of that conversation or need for the benefits analysis comes up at the point where they are working on the plan. So their vocational counselor is working with them to develop that IPE, that plan for employment. And that kind of in that decision of, maybe they're deciding between part-time and full-time, what they're looking for, and having that information about how it impacts the benefits will help them make that decision between those two potentially. And then also deciding on, an ideal pay range that they're looking for, would like to be in. And then finally on here, like sometimes that need for the benefit analysis comes up at, when someone is already employed. So, and that's, I think we touched on that a little bit at the beginning, a potential, maybe increase in hours or rate of pay. They have that opportunity in front of them, and they need to make a decision if they want to do that. And then again, sometimes issues with their benefits come up when they're, have been employed for a little while. So they need some guidance at that point too. So a lot of different points where this could be something that you need. Okay, so then I was just going to talk a little bit about how those referrals come in when you're connected with OOD. So what happens is that vocational counselor that you're working with would either recommend, okay, we're talking about these things. It seems like a benefit analysis, work incentives planning might be where we need to go. And because there's some concern about that impact of work on benefits or some questions. So at that point, the vocational counselor would provide the solution.
Oh no, did we lose Jeanne?
She looks frozen and I
I
don't
would say
hear her.
she looks frozen on my screen, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one.
Yep, she's
Okay.
frozen.
She's frozen in time. How terrible. Jeanne, we hope you're okay. I can pick up for Jeanne. So she trying to remember what bullet point she left off on. Obtaining signed consents for relevant agencies. Does that sound right? How about we just start at the beginning? Good idea. Okay. So an OOD vocational counselor would recommend a benefit analysis report if the public benefits were being received. And, if there's an interest in figuring out how work is going to impact those benefits. And then they would provide a selection of provider sheets. So OOD has free choice of provider, just as other services do. And then they would obtain signed consents for relevant agencies to obtain verification of benefits. So every benefits planner will verify where the benefits are coming from and exactly what benefits are being received from Social Security, from Job and Family Services, and from whatever local housing authority they are in the area they are living in. And then a benefit analysis referral form to that agency is completed. And then the OOD counselor makes a referral to the provider that individual has chosen, whether it be an external agency or a work incentive consultant at OOD, which Jeanne is. And Jeanne is back. Welcome back, Jeanne. We missed you. You're muted. You can have your
Thank
slide
you.
back.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know when it looked like it just went out for like a few seconds. Okay. I don't know what happened. Thank you for, yeah. So were you at the point where they completing the report? Sorry. Okay. So putting that report together, getting that all information in one report, and then then there would be a meeting scheduled, ideally with not just the individual who the report is for, but others involved in supporting that person. So, sometimes the SSA is there, the vocational counselor, anyone in the family, or, anyone that the person would want involved to help support with the decision making. And it's a lot of information to take in sometimes in those meetings because we go over a lot of stuff. So sometimes it's helpful to have different people because sometimes, as you know, like different people hear and remember different pieces of a meeting and information. So and then not just going over the report to check for, making sure everything's covered, but also discuss any follow-up actions that might need to be taken, what support can be, supports can be helpful going forward. Okay. All right, so then about the actual report, there's some key, like I think of as key features that make these reports the most effective. So there's times where, you could get on Social Security's website, sometimes you can find a lot of this information just available, doing your own research. But the point of these reports is to really break it down, put information that's only relevant, for that person, what they need at that time and what is specific to their situation, not just general information about every possible type of benefit that is out there. So would just be overwhelming. So one of the main things is, providing that relevant information. So it's going to be specific to that person's situation and their goal. So my easiest example that I think of is you're not going to be talking, put all this information about if you worked 40 hours a week, if that person doesn't have, the intent at that time, to work full time. They might just want to work part time. So that's what you're going to focus in on, what they are asking for, what they want at that point in time. And then it's very important to break down that information about the benefits and the different work incentives, I think, into kind of two areas for kind of each idea. So generally, I like to see general information, say, this is about SSI, for example. This is how SSI is calculated. So kind of those overall rules that Social Security has and information. And then kind of a second, underneath that information, okay, so this is how this applies to your situation. Couple examples. So that kind of brings it all together, I think. And then the third thing is, I think it's important to have to present this information in a variety of formats, because as we know, everyone's a different, different types of learners. Some are more visual. So I think the written explanation, the report where it's just all kind of explained, but then also include some charts or graphs with that same information, but presented in a different way. So it's can make it easier to understand. And then also, in addition, going through that verbally with everyone. So giving opportunities at different points, or any point really, for any questions, like welcoming questions as you go. So this is an example. What I put in my reports generally is also a snapshot kind of page like this, where it goes through the examples that we've decided on, that are within this person's work goal. So for example, this would be someone who is receiving SSI and they have Medicaid also. So this just goes through, this person, was looking at part-time, maybe 20, 25-hour a week job. So it just has, 4 different examples of working those hours, different rates of pay. And then as you look down the column, that way they can kind of see it all on one page. This is how much you would get paid per month at that job. This is about how much your SSI would be in that situation. You would keep your Medicaid, all these situations, and then kind of a bottom line gross income for that specific scenario for each one. That kind of pulls everything together. That's it throughout the report. And then this is just kind of just about work and SSI. So again, this would be someone who receives SSI, and it's those same earning scenarios on the previous page, but it's just a nice visual where the blue is the paycheck, the red is the SSI check, and it helps to kind of visually see, as you make more money, the blue is getting larger, the red is getting smaller, the SSI check gets smaller, but when you put them both together, it adds up to more money per month. So that's also been a nice way for to kind of see that, visualize that. And then I think, Nate, were you going to talk about a little example of someone, I think?
Okay, so let's meet Tasha. She is 19 years old. She receives $943 per month in SSI, and that's the federal benefit rate. She also receives SSI Medicaid, and she's eligible for a waiver, and she recently graduated high school. She finds a job, she makes $1,000 per month. Her SSI is going to be reduced in this case, but Social Security always counts less than half of the earnings when calculating the SSI payment. So you're still going to come out ahead financially as an SSI recipient. And so in this case, she would have $485.50 of SSI plus $1,000 in earnings, which would equal $1,485.50 per month, as opposed to $943 a month if she did not work. And she keeps that Medicaid eligibility and waiver services at no cost. And I think so. This is my slide for me to talk about more experiences with benefits consulting, and just to give you guys takeaways. As I said in the beginning, when I had my first benefits analysis with community partners through OOD, I went by myself and I didn't have anyone to help me understand what the information meant. So I kind of just had, the report to refer to, and I didn't really have any context behind that. So I only had some numbers and I really didn't understand what they meant. So I didn't give up on the conversation as my work needs changed. That was an important meeting for me to understand the value of benefits consulting, but I also understood for the next time to go in with a game plan. So in the future, I had my family supporting me and representatives from community agencies, and sometimes I would have my SSA there and my OD counselor. So there was a team of people receiving the same information so that we all were focused and aware of what my primary goals were at the time, and we all had the access to the information so that I could make the best and most informed decision for me. And I think another piece of advice that I would recommend, if people are able, I would also bring kind of recent correspondence from the Social Security Administration, or maybe the results of your last work review, because that may have some information in it that the person doing the analysis would find helpful. And yes, theoretically, I think they're supposed to get that information released from the agencies. But I think, if you're able to provide that, and or maybe you have a letter that you don't understand, having that conversation with the benefits analysis person might also be able to help with discrepancies in reporting requirements, or maybe you're navigating an overpayment of some type. And so having that conversation with the person doing the benefits analysis to determine next steps is also a really good strategy. And thirdly, I would say, we talked about the different ways to get a benefits analysis. And I think all of those methods have their own unique strengths. I think being in the county board system, and being eligible for the support there, we're very fortunate in that we have so many options. I think for folks that work with county boards who may or may not be providing a waiver service, that's ideal because you can have ongoing and regular conversation about what all of this means. And that person at the county board can kind of be a point person to help interact with the Social Security Administration. But some of the providers in the various networks also have their own unique strengths, maybe based on work experience, or maybe they have, more specialties that they can do. A lot of the people doing the benefits analysis are also starting to help people apply for Social Security benefits. So maybe you have someone who's just becoming an adult and going from SSI, onto SSI or SSDI as an adult, and maybe they need to apply for that benefit. So some of the benefit consultants can help provide that expertise when you are filling out that application. And I also think that, again, it's really about the importance of having an ongoing discussion, and utilizing all of the tools that are available, especially for folks when they transition into full-time employment. Development of subsidies and IRWs are very, very, very important. So impairment-related work expenses, anything that a person with a disability pays out of their own pocket, they need in order to work. And then subsidies and special conditions, if people receive some additional assistance or accommodations on a job, and in order to fully do the job, are things that Social Security takes into consideration when determining if you meet that substantial gainful activity level. And having an ongoing relationship with somebody that has background in a benefits analysis or using work incentives is critically important in this case.
So my name's Christine Brown. I'm a clinical research assistant and also self-advocate faculty. I will tell you about my work journey. First, out of high school, I didn't really work except tried some job, and it didn't work out for me because it didn't fit my style. And then I was in a shelter workshop for about 3 years doing piece rate, but it wasn't my thing. And so then after that, I started my consulting business at which was then called Brown Cooley Associates in Self-Determination. That was doing a lot of public speaking and training and things. That went well for a long time, but of course I was only getting like a small amount because I had too much fear of losing benefits. But then I went through this human services assistant program at Columbus State Community College. That led me to being a human services assistant. I was in that job 2010 through mid 2017. I realized that after about by 2015, I didn't have any more raises at all. I was totally at the same salary for like 3 years, never getting a raise because I was at the top. And so I thought of trying something else. And so I went into this LEND program, Leadership, Education, and Neurodevelopmental Disabilities. Graduated in 2017, like April or May 2017. And then in August got hired here. And the work I'm at at 25 hours a week. I also get accommodations, which makes my overall level less because I had this work activity report, so my SGA level, substantial gainful activity, have a disregard. And the other thing is that I just really think that it's important to have these benefit consultants. My parents were feared that if I worked at a certain level that I'd be totally losing my Medicaid, but they didn't know about the program Medicaid buy-in for workers with disabilities, just to say. And then also with having the subsidy with accommodations, it makes them less fearful of me. But on the other side, with having this job, I can make money that I don't require rent subsidy, which that's true self-determination, not requiring rental assistance. And so I really think it's important to, every time you start having somebody, even the parent, comes up and says, I won't let my son or daughter work because they're going to get screwed in their benefits. The thing is, you need to tell them straight up. We know of benefit consultants that could help guide you, because there are ways around this so that your son or daughter can work. And I just think if we want to get more people working, we need to cut the red tape and have people learn that they can do a lot. And it also, with working, it helps with their mental health, makes them have something to do during the day, and it makes also their waiver costs less compared to somebody being in an adult day program based on their needs. So I wanted to point that out because we want to see everyone be able to work, and don't say you can't do it.
Great. Thank you, Christine. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking about the Disability Benefits 101 website. My name's Tom Hess. I am the Community Life Engagement Project Manager for the Southeast region of the state. I work with Ann and Keith and Britta and Kelly and Sarah around the state. I've had the pleasure of working with DB 101 now for a few years, kind of ever since its inception. And our Disability Benefits 101 website is a site, and I'll share some of it with you here in just a second, to help educate and provide knowledge and information to people with disabilities, their family members, professionals. Frankly, it's a great resource that we have in Ohio that I encourage people to go and visit and take a look at. I'm going to share a couple of pages now. Right now, this is a picture of the front page of the website, and I'm going to point out a couple of the tools that we have. DB101 is a national website. We have one that's tailored to Ohio, and there are about 10 other states in the country that also have Disability Benefits 101 websites. This is ours. You can see there from Ohio. Some of the key features and the things I love about this, a lot of the technical language, the jargon, some of the information that you've been hearing throughout the presentation today is all contained in this DB101 website. I showed these articles here and the links to those articles. Those take you right to the Social Security website and right to the glossary of information. So you can go in and find out exactly what supplemental security income means, what Social Security disability insurance means, and really get the details of that. And it's a wonderful resource for people to become educated about what their benefits are and to learn more about the things they can do to get to work. I think it's really crucial that people understand what benefits they're receiving. If we go to the next slide, you'll see we also have an additional tool of our estimators. We use these to estimate the effect that work's going to have on an individual's Social Security and their disability benefits. Now you'll see there's a couple in there, some for kids who are in school still. We've got one in there for just benefits and work. And then we've also got the Medicaid buy-in for workers with disability estimators. And we call these estimators because one of the things that we want to do as a result of going to the disability benefits website and learning more and gaining information and becoming an educated consumer is to drive people to our certified work incentives planners. Because as you've surmised so far, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of detail, and a lot of things that you can learn. But having access and a connection to that certified work incentives planner is absolutely crucial so that they can inform your team and your family when you're making decisions about your disability benefits. So it really can be a fantastic tool to give people an idea of how much they want to work, how much they can make, and not affect their benefits in a negative way. In fact, as you've seen by those examples, really can be a net positive in many cases for a lot of people. One of the things we've done here in Ohio specifically is design some video tutorials specifically for people with disabilities and their families. You might guess if you go to the Social Security website, that can be a little cumbersome, right? It's usually in Social Security and government language, a lot about the rules written at a very high level. We've designed these 10 or so videos to be in plain language, understandable, and easy for people to get the feel for, in this case, what is SSI, right? So that they can understand their benefits in a meaningful way and start that conversation. You heard from Nate and Christine what they've learned over the years. This is what DB101 can help people move forward, right? You have a tool, you have a resource to be able to learn more about your websites and or your benefits and what's available to you. Another one of the key features that I like about this website is you'll see up in the top right where you can register and create an account in Disability Benefits 101. That's a fantastic resource for people to be able to go and revisit things that they've looked at before. There's an opportunity to go in and create your account. Save your favorites. So if you're particularly interested in SSDI or stable accounts or you name it, whatever information is in there, you can save that article to your account so that you can go back and access that information. Say when you're talking to your team or you're talking to your SSA, you can say, hey, I was reading on DB101 about Social Security disability insurance, and pop that article right back up in your conversation. So I think they're really fantastic tool to personalize the disability benefits website and really make it useful for individuals. And then finally, as we go in there, signing up for DB101 is really simple and free. You simply go in, register your new account information, and you're able to sign up and get that information in DB101. So hopefully you'll be able to go once you've finish the webinar today, visit ohdb101.org and learn some information about DB101 going forward. I'm going to turn it over so we can talk about some of the key takeaways.
Thanks so much, Tom. And again, thank you, Nate and Christine, for sharing your stories. It definitely does help to hear those personalized stories. So the first key takeaway from today that I hope everybody realizes is that it is possible to work while receiving disability benefits. But when it comes to benefit programs, many of them have different rules when it comes to earnings and from working. So it's important to know what disability programs you receive. So if you're not aware of what you're receiving, then you need to work with someone who is a benefits planner. Again, those are certified work incentives practitioners, certified through Cornell or through VCU to become a provider. And then it's better to be proactive. So if you're working with someone or you are someone who thinks you want to work and you get these benefit programs, get these benefit analysis completed before accepting employment because it's a lot easier and better to talk about what's going to happen as opposed to, oops, something got screwed up and now we need to fix it. So be proactive and get those completed up front. And these benefit programs, they just need to be discussed as part of the process leading up to finding those jobs or getting out of a workshop potentially. And again, there's a lot of fear of losing benefits. So these conversations can actually alleviate those fears and hopefully have people gain more knowledge about what benefits they are actually receiving and what their individual limits are. So as a benefits planner, I hear all the time that, oh, I heard from a friend that I can make this much money and keep my benefits. And that is just simply not the case because everybody's benefits are different. So, you know, throughout the benefits planning process, sometimes individuals actually realize their full potential and can see the financial benefit of working. And then these benefit analysis and summaries can be updated as benefits change or as work and activity increases. And so it's not a one and done type thing. And as we've heard from Nate and Christine today about their personal experiences, you can see that they can be completed multiple times. And like Nate said, you know, going back to those benefits planners and asking them questions when you have them. Or if you get a work activity report in the mail and you don't know what to do with it, call whoever did your benefit analysis because I'm sure they'd be happy to walk you through it. They would be happy to help you get those IRWs or subsidies in place and make sure that you're able to keep whatever benefits are important to you. And then the first place to go to see about benefits counseling is often an agency that you're already connected with. And as you can see from today, there are a lot of different agencies that or services that fund a benefit analysis. And so whether it be the county board themselves or through a HCBS waiver provider or through OOD or through a WIPA project, you should be able to get a benefit analysis somewhere. And I know that there was a question in the chat about, can you get them all at the same time? And, you know, if you're working with OOD, that's probably where you want to go first. But if you don't have an open case with OOD, then talk to your county board and see if they have somebody. And if you have a waiver, then, you know, talk to your SSA about it becoming a waiver service. And I guess as a last resort, if you don't have any of those, then call the WIPA project and get it through them. And then also the DB 101 website is just such a helpful and useful tool. And even as a benefits planner, I use the DB 101 website because their MBIWD estimator is excellent and it saves me a lot of thinking sometimes. Just that math that I can just get from the website is awesome. So I love the DB 101 website, and it is a very helpful tool for folks who know what benefits that they are getting. And also, I just want to reiterate one more thing that Nate said, and it is that, you know, bringing those Social Security letters with you to your benefits planners, I cannot stress the importance of that because sometimes, you know, those letters are confusing and people, they hide information in those letters and it can be hard to find the important stuff, or sometimes the letter might not be accurate. And so it's important to know and to have that benefits planner help you kind of navigate through those. And that is all we have for today. So I want to thank everybody for coming to hear from us about benefit analysis. We are going to take some questions if there's any additional questions. But also we are looking for feedback. We love doing these presentations and we love putting all this information together for you guys. So we want to get some feedback on what you guys think about these presentations. So if you can just take a minute to hold your phone or whatever device you have up to our QR code, it'll take you to a quick little form where you can submit some feedback on how we did today. And we would be happy to help with all of that. I do see a couple more questions in the chat or in the question and answer. So one of them is, can an SSA be a benefits counselor or become a benefits counselor? And I'd like to say that they could. I think that there are some, oh, Lisa Combs wants to answer that question.
No, I just said, I don't want to at all.
She does, Lisa.
I just pushed answer live. I mean, I think you could
That's funny.
become a benefits. I don't know if somebody, Nate's got his hand up. Nate, you want to answer that?
So
Go ahead, Nate.
I looked into it, and the hang up I run into is that for some of the programs, you have to commit to doing the benefits analysis work like 8 to 16 hours a week in order to actually get the certification.
So the process of getting certified is a lot. So you have to take the class, which I want to say through Cornell is only $600 for their class. But then you have to do the classes take time, and then you have to do a live file, which takes a lot of time. So I'm not sure why or how an SSA would have the time to commit to being also a benefits counselor.
Leslie
because it is a lot.
Leslie just commented in the Q&A that she has an SSA certification, but she isn't currently working as an SSA, and she is a WIP, whatever that stands for, work incentive, whatever that person is. I guess I would just say I would definitely check if you were thinking, I mean, I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't get certified, except for if you can't commit to the hours like Nate had said. I do think as far as practicing it, if you were using, it would cause some kind of conflict if you were ever using waiver funding and doing it, because there's free choice of provider with that. So I would definitely want to talk to my county board. If you are currently an SSA, I would want to go through the ethics committee to find out the specifics of that, or contact me and we'll find out together, because that's what we do.
And I might just chime in a little. I know years ago when we first started the DB 101 project, we paid for a number of people to complete that certification. And at that time, some county boards were looking at hiring someone with the certification. So they did put some people through the programs. But like you say, that was really a conversation between the county board and the individuals going through that training.
Yeah, I know a lot of SSAs have transitioned into doing this, and they may keep their SSA certification, but actually practicing, having a caseload and doing it would be a conversation you need to have. We also had, Paula, what effect does a waiver have on SSI and working?
So just having a waiver would not impact the SSI. The waiver itself, the Medicaid waivers do have income limits in themselves, but the waiver paying for services does not at all impact SSI. It doesn't count as income for people at all.
Right. And you just want to make sure that you meet Medicaid eligibility if you have a waiver. That's the most important part. Kim just put one.
You can meet that Medicaid eligibility through the buy-in as well.
Yes. Yes. There's definitely all kinds of stuff. We have lots of fear factors on that one, actually, if you want to talk about that. Kim also just asked, do V.E.A.R counselors suggest benefit analysis when participants are receiving benefits and are being referred for job development services?
I can answer that. I would say yes. I mean, I think it just, again, every situation is different. Kind of, that's something that I don't know if you just mean specifically at that point, but I get referrals, like I said, kind of at different points with people involved in the V.E.A.R process. Like sometimes it's just, they're just applying. They haven't even discussed being referred for job development quite yet. And sometimes it is at that point. So, but certainly, yes, they could be kind of working simultaneously on, looking for the job while someone's working on their benefits analysis report.
Thanks, Jeannie. I also want to point out on our QR code here, there is a spot to ask questions. So if you don't think of something now, but you come up with a question later, you can always go into our code and ask a question at any time. I don't see any more. So Lisa, are we ready to go to the next poll?
I think Christine has her hand up. You want to go real quick, Christine?
Go for it.
Yes, I was gonna say that I saw Kim say about with the waiver and over income level, you would have to put money into the Miller Trust. Yes, but also you can see about if somebody has medical expenses and things, or money going out of their paycheck for health insurance and stuff, that can be subtracted as well. Health insurance premiums. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that, in fact, I'm not sure if there's a current session right now on work incentives, but that's gonna be a perfect bridge. There's a lot of different ways when you are over income that you want to make sure to access if you can. So thanks,
And
Christine.
And if
Also-
I just chime in a little there, saying one of the really neat things about those estimators inside of DB 101 is it starts to ask you all of those questions. And then you start to get organized. You go, okay, I need to get my impairment related work expense information. I need to get my insurance, my wages, things like that. It's a great tool to really get your mind going about all the things you need to consider when you're talking about disability benefits and work.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Okay. Oh, wait a minute before we go on there. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. We're going to just do that. All right. Sorry. Go ahead. We are going to go ahead and do the poll now. I will take over so Paula can take a quick break. So, as Ann said earlier, we are looking at other topics that you guys might want to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. Which topics would you like more training on in the future? We have retirement planning and Medicaid eligibility as one, work incentives for older adults, which is the workability group. How does work impact housing, transportation, and food assistance? Real stories of real fears of working, and making sense of all the resources. Or if you have other ideas, that's great. And you can stick them in the chat box. We'd love to hear. So I'm going to give you a minute to complete that poll. And they're getting tired. They're getting slower at completing the polls, Paula. It's okay though. We know you made it. We're almost done. You might get a few minutes back in your day. I'm so excited. There we go. We're up to 75%. All right. Well, you guys, as usual, on this particular poll, it's always really you just want anything. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We have 90% of the people. And just so you see in transparency, I will share the results. But we had about probably the number one idea was how does work impact housing, transportation, and food assistance? That's one we've been talking about for a while. So we will keep that in mind. And then of course, just please make sense of all of the resources because there's so much, which that's a tough one, but we will work on that and we appreciate all your ideas. And if you have other ideas, feel free to put it in the chat box. Somebody did. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. All right. So thanks for tuning in so much today. Really appreciate all of you for being here and all your thoughts about helping people get employed and taking out at least some of the fear. Hopefully we alleviated a few fears that you all have. I want to give a big hands to our presenters today. You guys did awesome as usual. You are experts and we all wish we could just take you in our pockets. So when we need you, we would have you there. So, oh, wow. All right. But instead of that, we will be putting the recording to this session on the Employment First website, which I did share the link up earlier, along with the PowerPoint. It will also be on OACB Member Connect. And remember that you will be getting an email in the next few days to claim your CPDUs. There will be a brief evaluation, and then you'll be able to claim them. So, and don't forget to do the barcode that the bar scan code that Paula shared for another evaluation. There we go. All right, everybody, thank you so much. And we will see you soon. Have a great week. And thanks for starting it off with us today. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm gonna stop recording.